back to my channel. I'm James, and this channel is all about movies and TV series from all over the world, as you can see behind me. And today we're going to be doing part 2 of my Criterion Collection, my sale haul, kind of going into everything that I have in my Criterion Collection. So, if you haven't seen part 1, I'll post the link up above that you should see there. Go back and watch part 1 and then come back and watch part 2. That way you get the entire collection haul of what I currently have in my Criterion Collection. That way it shows you what I currently own and what I picked up during the sale haul. Make sure to watch both parts of this video. That way you get everything that I've gotten. And there's a ton of really exciting stuff, and I'm sure a lot of hidden titles that maybe you didn't know were available on Criterion. And there's some pretty darn good sales too. So make sure to go and watch part 1 as well, but this is going to be the part 2 of my Criterion Collection and my sale haul that I got during this sale. And everything that I have will be posted in the description section right below this video that's on sale. That way it makes it nice and easy. Any of these titles that I've been talking about, they'll be listed right in the description section below each and every video. That way if you decide to pick them up, it makes it nice and easy and fast for you. You click down there, it'll take you right to the sale. That way you get the same titles that I'm talking about. Alright, we've got a lot of exciting titles to cover in this Criterion Collection. So let's dive right into this. Alright, next up we're going to dive into my collection of Carrie Grant, and basically the haul, what I got during the sale is coming up here real soon. But I wanted to keep all the Carrie Grant ones together so that way I kind of go through these. This is also Howard Hawks. So as I talked about Red River, same director here that did this. His Girl Friday, Carrie Grant, Rosalind Russell. This one came out in 1940. This one's a very entertaining Carrie Grant movie, though I won't say it's my favorite of his. I would say this one out of my Carrie Grant films somewhere ranks in the middle. Not his best, not his worst, but right in the middle. Very enjoyable film about news reporters and catching a story and kind of a whole mixture of criminals breaking out of jail, getting put in jail, and a whole kind of twisted story going around. And so it's entertaining, a lot of things happen at once. And if you've ever seen like Carrie Grant's classic comedy movies, it's always that things kind of start to get really crazy and multiple things are happening at once and he's kind of getting flustered, and that's kind of what this does. So it's definitely a very entertaining film. It's just not my favorite Carrie Grant movie. It's somewhere in the middle. So if you collect Carrie Grant movies on Blu-ray, you're definitely going to want to pick this one up and add it to your collection. Carrie Grant is one of my favorite classic comedic actors, and so I collect all Carrie Grant movies. There's no Carrie Grant movie on Blu-ray that I don't own, and I think you'd be surprised. Sometime I will do a Carrie Grant collection video. I have a bunch of out-of-print Carrie Grant Blu-rays from all over the world, and they're no longer in print, and there are some titles that I'm sure you've totally forgotten about that are really great Carrie Grant movies. So sometime, if all of you want to see that, make sure you comment in the comment section below, and maybe in the future here as I'm doing these collection videos and kind of weeding these in as we're doing these videos and going through this series, I'll do some of those Carrie Grant collection videos to show you all of my Carrie Grant collection. Now, this one is a new high definition digital restoration. It's a new 4K digital restoration. Now, I do think it looks great. It's the best the film's ever looked because VHS of it was horrible. The DVD looked really horrible. So it does look really good. So if you're collecting Carrie Grant movies, pick this one up and add it to your collection. I think it's 20 bucks right now during the Criterion Collection. Otherwise, I think it's regularly 40 bucks. Next up is going to be Charade. And this is with Carrie Grant and Audrey Hepburn. I love Audrey Hepburn in this movie. I'm a big Audrey Hepburn fan as well. There's a lot of these classic actors that you really just can't understand the immense power and screen power they had unless you watch a lot of their films. That a lot of actors nowadays, I'm sorry, but a lot of modern actors in a lot of modern movies, because of special effects, they didn't have to carry the movie with their acting alone. Now, I'm not saying all modern actors are that way, but if you're a classic film collector and you really sit down and start to enjoy and pay attention, a lot of these movies didn't have much action in them. They didn't have special effects. It was simply a story that was well done, and it was carried by the actors and their portrayal of if you believed them in that story. And that's where Carrie Grant, Audrey Hepburn did a great job in this movie, Charade. And it's one of those mystery, kind of like I'd say Alfred Hitchcock type movies. And this movie is great. It is one of my favorite movies with both of them in it. And it's one of those films that you must pick up and own. Even if you're not as big a fan of Carrie Grant, it's a great mystery that just kind of suspense mystery that keeps you on the edge of your seat. And it is a thriller. If you love Alfred Hitchcock, you're going to love this film. And so this one was released in 1963 originally. And this one actually gets on it a high definition digital transfer with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. And now, this is one I really, really wish would come to 4K, that they would do a 4K restoration on this. This is one of them that I'm not sure that they'll ever be able to upgrade to 4K. I do love the film, and I hope that one day we get it. But this is a must buy. If you're looking at a title to buy that you're going to enjoy with a lot of these older, like Cary Grant, Audrey Hepburn films, if you haven't seen this one, it is such a great mystery, action, adventure, spy, I don't know if it's spy, but thriller movie. And it is one that I feel like you must own. This one does come with the booklet inside as well. It does a behind the scenes on this, and it references that this film is very much in line with some of the earlier Bond films. They talk about it in the book in here and things. I don't know if I'd call it as much like an earlier Bond film, but it is a really good Alfred Hitchcock style suspense thriller. Alright, next up is another Cary Grant movie. Now this one has Katharine Hepburn in it, and I like Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn together. There's a couple other Criterion ones we're going to get into here a little bit later that they're in together, but I do like them together in this, and this is one of those films that it did get a new 4K digital restoration with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. This film came out in 1938, so it is an extremely early Cary Grant movie. He's very young in it, and it's a very, I don't know, a lot of people misunderstand it, I feel like, because it's about a rich family, and I'm talking extremely rich. They live in this massive mansion that had their own elevator. For back in the 1930s, that was like billionaire status, basically. I mean, an elevator, I mean, who had that back then? But anyhow, they have their own elevator in their house, and they're kind of a spoiled rich family that kind of doesn't know how to associate with society and themselves and other people, and they kind of get what they want when they want it, and if somebody tells them no, they get upset about it. And he comes into the family as he's not rich. I mean, he's basically broke poor, and he's trying to make his way on his own, and he gets involved with his family because he falls in love with the one sister. And it's kind of a twisty thing, but he ends up meeting the other sister and realizing that maybe the one sister he liked isn't the one he loves, maybe it's the other sister, and it's this whole like romance of going back and forth, and it's a very enjoyable Cary Grant movie. And it's up there with one of my favorite Cary Grant film portrayals with Katharine Hepburn, though the film is a little bit of an acquired taste because there is some, I would say, slightly awkward scenes that basically, I mean, the kids grew up and they're adults now and they're kind of don't know how to associate with society, and they do some odd and weird things. But that's where you kind of grow to love the film, and this is one of those that you'll grow to love the more you watch it. Next up is another Cary Grant. I told you I'm putting these all together in kind of a little group so you kind of get some of the Cary Grant Criterion releases. This one came out in 1937, and it's called The Awful Truth. Has Irene Dunne and Cary Grant in it. It's basically about both of them have been basically cheating on each other in a sense. They've been going out and having dates with other people, going out to dinner, having drinks, and they haven't done anything too serious, but it is that they're basically spending time with other men and women that are not obviously their husband and wife, and starting to have affections for those people. So basically it's playing on the idea of them getting divorced. They decide they're going to get divorced, but they're not really not in love with each other anymore. And that's kind of the story about it, is that they realize through course of events that he still has feelings for his wife still has feelings for him, and they realize through all of these course of events that sometimes as humans we make stupid mistakes, and we have to be forgiving to each other. And that's kind of why I love this film, because they realize that they didn't really want to get divorced. They did love each other. The problem is they were both so selfish and so stuck in their own ways that they didn't realize that they had made stupid mistakes, that they were trying to hurt each other because, well, I'm mad at you, or you're mad at me, and I'm going to pay you back. And it's just comedically done, and it's not done seriously, and it's a really well done film. And I really feel like if you like those Cary Grant comedic, like where things start to fall apart, this is one of those movies that's very well done. This one did get a new 4K digital restoration with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. And again, this film did come out in 1937. It is a really, really good Cary Grant and Irene Dunne film, and it is really funny. And if you like those films that kind of make a funny look at life and how just dumb sometimes we as humans are. We make mistakes, I make mistakes, my wife makes mistakes, everyone makes mistakes, but we have to be willing to forgive each other and move on and look past some of those mistakes all the time. So that's where I say if you want something like that that's a good film, pick this one up. Alright, another Cary Grant. This one is actually with Katharine Hepburn. Remember I said Cary Grant did several films with Katharine Hepburn. This is another one, Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, and James Stewart. James Stewart is great in this film, Cary Grant's great in this film, and Katharine Hepburn's great in this film. So if you want a really good film, this is my collectible one. The other one has a case that's cracked up, so I didn't want to show you guys that one. As I said, whenever I get a case cracked, sometimes if there's a good enough sale on something, I'll pick up another edition that's sealed. So in this case, that's what I did. So I'm showing you the nice one. But this one's a really good film, The Philadelphia Story. Now, This one does have a new 4K digital restoration. So this is one of the newer, basically Criterion releases where they did a 4K restoration and it needed it because on VHS and DVD it had so many screen tears, blotches, missing film reels where it was really torn and pieced together. It looks phenomenal on this release. And this one was released in 1940. So if you want one that has James Stewart, Carrie Grant, and Katharine Hepburn, it's a really good film. All right, another Carrie Grant. This one came out in 1939. It's a Howard Hawks film. So as I've talked about some Howard Hawks films earlier in this Criterion collection, this is another one. Carrie Grant, Jean Arthur, and this is a weird Carrie Grant role. And the reason I say that is he's playing more or less a more serious role. It's not a comedy. It's not a lighthearted. It's more or less a serious story. It's got some lighthearted things in it, but it's definitely a more serious story with Carrie Grant in it. It's not my favorite Carrie Grant role. I'd probably say this ranks on the lower side of my Carrie Grant films. I'd probably say if you had to rank Carrie Grant films on a 1 to 10, this one would probably come in the range of 3 to 4, somewhere around there. So not in the middle, but kind of below the middle. And it's if you're collecting Carrie Grant like I do, I had to have it for my collection because I love all of Carrie Grant's films, but you do still have some that are your favorite and some aren't. This one's not my favorite Carrie Grant film, but it's still a good one. And during the sale, I think I've seen this one for around $14.99 as well. It's either $14.99 or $19.99, but there's been a couple of these Carrie Grant ones that they're doing for $14.99. So if it is $14.99, it's worth picking up to add to your collection anyways. And like I said, this one is one of the newer ones with the new 4K digital restoration on it, and it's a pretty good film. I have something I want to cover real quick with all of you. We've got a lot more titles to go through, so make sure you stick around. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up for me. Give this video a like. Let me know you enjoy this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification right next to it. That way you get notified right away when I release this new content. That way you're one of the first ones to get to watch these videos. And if you're already subscribed, make sure to hit that bell notification. That way it notifies you every time I release any of this content, especially for a lot of my exclusive content that you're only going to find on my YouTube channel. And as always, you could follow me on either my Instagram or my Facebook, which is In Search of Physical Media. The name of the channel, just on Instagram or Facebook. And I release extra hidden content, things about little reviews that I get in, little basically pre-orders or things that I find out about, sales, just like this. I announced this on there as well. And always check the community section on this YouTube channel. It's one of the tabs. That gives you extra hidden content on here as well. I post things on there about sales and little things about videos or about hidden releases, things like that. So make sure you check the community section on this YouTube channel as well once you're subscribed. And as always, I will post all of the links for everything we're talking about, every Blu-ray and every 4K, every TV show and every movie, in the description section right below this video. That way it makes it nice and easy for all of you. You go down there, click that description section, it opens right up and they'll all be listed out there, so it makes it nice and easy for you to pick up any of these that you might not already have. All right, we've got a lot to cover, so let's dive right back into this. All right, next up is one of my favorite Alfred Hitchcock movies of all time. This is Notorious. Now, this one was originally released on Blu-ray many years ago, and I had the original Blu-ray release, but during the sale, I decided to upgrade to the Criterion Collection. It was $19.99, and this one's regularly been around $40 to $45 when it's not on sale. So this one did come out in 1946. Alfred Hitchcock does an amazing job in this. This one has Carrie Grant in it, so continuing with Carrie Grant. He plays more or less a spy, an agent for U.S. intelligence, and it has in it Ingrid Bergman with Carrie Grant, and they're phenomenal in it. It basically has to do with that Carrie Grant finds her and basically recruits her to be basically his assistants in spying on these basically World War II criminals that are living in America that their U.S. is trying to catch for war crimes from World War II. And she gets wrapped up, Ingrid Bergman gets wrapped up in this, and it becomes a whole like basically mystery, suspense, and there's a lot of suspense where you're not sure, are they going to get caught? Is she going to get caught? Is she going to get killed? What's going on? And she gets deeper and deeper into this mystery. And who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Alfred Hitchcock does a phenomenal job with this release. Carrie Grant is in top form in this movie. And Ingrid Bergman, if you've seen her films and you like Ingrid Bergman, one of her best performances. So this is one of those, because there's so many classic directors and actors in this, this is a must-own Criterion Collection release. So this is one I was happy to add and upgrade to my collection from the old Blu-ray release, because this, they have fixed every error, every tear, every screen blip, every dot, everything on this looks pristine. And I will tell you, this got a brand new 4K digital restoration and remaster with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. And huge difference. If you only own Blu-ray of Notorious, get rid of it, throw it away, sell it, whatever. Get this, because you'll never watch that old one again. This is that much of a difference. It's hands down a beautiful restoration. Now, inside it though, the booklet that's in it is not very big. This is another one of those that I just thought I pointed out. It's basically 5 or 6 pages, just kind of folds out like a poster, so it's not like a booklet. And it just has a little bit talking about the movie. Has an awesome picture of Carrie Grant on it, if you can see that though, kind of like spy looking. But this is one that very much reminds me of those spy thrillers. If you've ever seen North by Northwest, which is my all-time favorite Carrie Grant movie, and that's simply because I watched it all the time growing up when I was sick. That's what I'd ask my mom or dad to rent from the VHS store. And I'd watch that growing up. So that's why that's my favorite. It might not be Carrie Grant's best performance ever, but that's why that has a personal meaning for me. But this one is up there. It is great, and Carrie Grant's great in it. So highly recommend, if you're going to pick up during this sale, you need to pick up Notorious. Great Alfred Hitchcock thriller. All right, another one that really surprised me. This was on sale during the sale. This just came out literally as of today in filming this. I got my copy. It was on the sale. I'm surprised because they usually don't put the new releases that just come out during the sale on sale. This is $20, $19.99. It's on sale right now. I'll put that link down there for Amazon right below. $19.99, you pick this up, it just came out. This is another Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn, basically comedy, romantic comedy. It's kind of a mixture about a tiger that they get, and basically it's called Bringing Up Baby. And it's such a great Howard Hawks comedy, a little bit of action, a little bit of adventure, romance. Wonderful film. And I've been waiting for this one for a very long time. And it hasn't been released. Criterion finally did. It came out in 1938, and Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, top form in this movie. Highly recommend this one. And this one was another one. It just got a new restored 4K digital transfer. It does have an uncompressed monaural soundtrack. As I kind of mentioned before, Criterion Collection special features are extensive. The amount of special features I don't even go to on every one of these discs. They do an absolutely outstanding job. They get new special features done, and then they bring in everything they can possibly find. And so this was one I was very excited to add to my collection. I will tell you, I haven't opened it yet, though I've seen this film probably 6 or 7 times. I just got it today, so I didn't open it. So that's why I wanted to throw it in, so that way you knew what I got during the sale. Inside it, though, I can see it has a very thick book, which I am excited about. I love reading these Criterion Collection books. So this one, I was excited because it does have a thicker book in it. But Bringing Up Baby, great classic Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn movie. Gotta pick this one up. This is another gotta have. Like I said, some of these aren't gots to have, so wait till maybe the next Criterion if you don't have the money. Get those then. But all these gotta have ones, pick them up because this one just came out on Tuesday. This one I picked up during the sale as well. And this one's very unique because I grew up watching this and I did not know Criterion had released this. So I picked this one up right away once I found out about it. Francis Ford Coppola presents, and here's what's crazy. I didn't know he worked with the director to release this film. And it's on the front here, and that's where I kind of learned something that I find interesting about film history. And this is one of those that really has some great film history behind it. Basically, Francis Ford Coppola helped release this film because he loved the story of the Black Stallion so much from the book that he wanted to see it get released. And United Artists and the original Orion Pictures that were going to release this film basically lost their budget and decided to scrap the film. Francis Ford Coppola stepped in to help director Carroll Ballard to release the film. He basically helped fund it, finance it, get theaters to play it, and that's where the film has a unique history behind it that I think makes this film even so much more unique. Now, The Black Stallion is a wonderful film. A lot of people call it a kids movie. I don't call it a kids movie. It is just hands down a beautiful, wonderful story of basically a boy that gets shipwrecked on an island after losing one of his parents. And he's all by himself and he learns to survive. And there's a horse there, a Black Stallion. And it's such a wonderful story of this boy, young boy who you feel for. And the actor that plays this boy does it so beautifully well. I watched this movie growing up and I had forgotten about it. And I don't know if any of you ever do that. That you have a film you grew up watching and time's gone by so much that you kind of just forget. You've watched so many other things you forgot it existed. This is one that I forgot. The second I realized what this film was, I ordered it instantly. And it's been sold out on most websites, but Amazon still has it in stock, and that's where I had to get mine from. And so that's where I ordered it through, is that link below. And the Black Stallion is beautiful. If you don't own this film, this is a must-buy during the sale, because when I found out this was out, it kind of reminds me a lot of those really classic, feel-good Disney movies with such a deep meaning behind it. And I don't want to give away the whole story, but the boy survives on the island with this horse. The horse kind of helps him, and they form a bond. He ends up being rescued, brought back to America and his family and everything like that. What's remaining of his family, basically. And then it's the boy and the horse is going to be a racing horse, and it's the story of what happens to the horse and the boy and how they get separated and back together, and just a gorgeous story of growing up and what they went through and how the boy has seen so much in his life, the horse, and there's such a connection between the two of them. Just an absolutely wonderful film. 1979 this one came out, and this one did get a new 4K digital transfer supervised by director of photography Caleb Daschle with 2.0 surround DTS HD master audio. Long list of special features, and in this one I was a little disappointed. I wish it had a big book. It didn't. It's a poster with, again, just some talking about the film a little bit. It's not really in depth, and I felt like for this release, I loved the film so much, I wanted a book in it. I don't know how Criterion decides what to put a book into and what not to. This is one of those films I really wish Criterion would have put one of those books, because I would have sat down and read it. This is an absolutely beautiful film that if you haven't seen it, you need to pick this up, buy this, and own this. The Criterion release is gorgeous of this, and it's one of those films that when you get done with it, you really feel like it was so worth your time to invest in this piece of filmmaking. Next up's another one I picked up during the sale called Dead Man. It has Johnny Depp in it, and I love Johnny Depp as an actor. I think he's really good. This one was released in 1995, and Criterion did a full 4K remaster restoration on disc here for Blu-ray. Now, I watched this just the other night. I've never seen this film in my life, and I just got it during the sale and decided to sit down and watch it. It's a kind of what I would call revisionist Western. Don't go into it thinking of it as a Western like what you think of like John Wayne, Howard Hawks, John Ford. It's nothing like that. It is filmed in black and white, so it does give you that feel. And the beginning of the film kind of feels that way, maybe like it's going to be. And then it takes a path down completely different. It's mostly about Johnny Depp and this Indian companion that they're both kind of misunderstood and outcast, and they've had a bunch of things happen in their lives that are really sad. And they basically, Johnny Depp gets framed for a murder that he didn't do. He didn't murder people. He defended himself against one person. It was a lover spat. And then basically they frame him for murdering two people that he didn't. And he goes on the run with this Indian companion that finds him. And the whole film is taking place of basically him and this Indian companion teaching him about, you know, beauty of life, and a lot of it's black and white cinematography, kind of like as they're riding along, and it shows, you know, beautiful black and white cinematography of, you know, the Wild Wild West and things like that, and the woods and different areas, mountains, things like that. But I didn't love the film. And remember what I was talking about, that some of these I loved, some of these I didn't. Pick up the great ones and wait on the other ones. This is one, in my opinion, I would wait on. Now, do I think it will grow on me the more I watch it? Yes. I think that there's a lot that this film has to offer. I just don't think it's right now for me a sold classic. Let me know if you've seen this film, if you loved it, what your kind of thoughts are on it. It's entertaining, but it does just have some scenes that I felt like the pacing maybe was off, and I would have changed it slightly different. So that's the thing about filming. Sometimes some films we love, sometimes other films we don't. And each of us has our own opinions. And that's where, you know, films, some of you might love it and some of you might not. Let me know in the comment section below if you've seen this one, though. I'm really curious if some of you loved this one or if you didn't. I picked up this one during the sale. This is Michael Mann and James Caan in Thief. I love Michael Mann's films. I think he does a great job with these like crime capers, and that's what he's kind of known for. And this is a great James Caan movie. Michael Mann does a great job. His like colors and the way Michael Mann films things with the noir look, I absolutely love. And that's where I feel like his films are so unique. And Thief is one of those films that I absolutely love. And I think James Caan does a great job in it, and Michael Mann does a great job directing it. And so this is one I picked up during the sale because I didn't own it on Criterion Collection. This one came out in 1981, the film did. And this release gets a new digital restoration from a 4K film transfer of the director's cut. So this is one of those unique ones that gets the director's cut on it. And the director's cut is the only way to see Thief. I think it's the best version of it. And it's a really good Michael Mann movie. Like, I love Heat. If you've seen Michael Mann's Heat or Collateral, I love Collateral with Tom Cruise. It's great. But they all have this sort of like noir color scheme behind them. And that's how this film is. And it's a really, really good crime caper. All right, I picked up The Weird, the Beautiful, Time Bandits, Terry Gilliam's kind of like epic sci-fi time travel masterpiece. And Time Bandits is one of those that's an acquired taste for a lot of people. It's a little quirky, a little weird. It's kind of like pre-12 Monkeys. And 12 Monkeys is kind of weird and out there. And I've talked about that recently on the channel. I just recently got the Steelbook by Arrow, which is the new restoration, remaster. And I really like that Terry Gilliam film. And this one's kind of like the same type of feel to it. I feel like a lot of the weirdness that he toned down in 12 Monkeys, he didn't tone down in this. So if you kind of like that, this is one of those you got to pick up. The film was released in 1981. And this one did get a new 2K digital restoration. So it's not a 4K, but it is a 2K. And it looks pretty good on this release. I actually had to return my other copy. That's why this one's sealed now. It's because when I opened up the other one, it was broken inside from shipping. So I sent it back and they replaced it with a nice one that's not broken. So that's why this one's sealed. But the other one I did watch and I did really enjoy the film. But it is a little quirky, a little out there. It's a time travel. I won't call it a kid's movie, but it does revolve around a boy that goes on a time traveling adventure. And it does have some darker scenes. So that's where I said it's kind of one of those 1980s darker sci-fi kids movies, very much, in my opinion, in the vein of The Never-Ending Story, which, by the way, I did just get on 4K Ultra HD, which there will be a review coming out on the channel of that once I go through that. But that I did just get the brand new 4K Ultra HD remaster and release of that. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that one either. That one will be coming soon on this channel as well. But Time Bandits is definitely one of those I recommend picking up if you like those like 1980s feel, like I said, like The Never-Ending Story. Talking about Martin Scorsese again, The Age of Innocence. It's got Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Winona Ryder. This is one of those period piece drama, romance that Martin Scorsese did. Now, I picked this one up because I own almost all of Martin Scorsese's films, and this one is one that my wife and I are excited to watch. I have not seen this. Can't tell you if I'm going to love it yet. I opened it. We were going through the book. It came out in 1993. And it's got a really hefty book in this one. So I try to show you every once in a while when they have this. I mean, it's a hefty book. I'm excited to read about the behind the scenes and the story. But it's definitely one of those like period piece, very much, in my opinion, kind of the feel of like the way Downton Abbey looks and is written. Kind of like I said, one of those like epic, like period pieces. And I like those. I said I'm a big film fan. I don't categorize myself into it's got to be an action movie or it's got to be an adventure movie. I like all films. And that's one of those things as a cinephile, I don't like to categorize myself as to, well, I'm a guy. I only like it if it's got blood and gore. That's not how I am. If it's a good film and it's got something to offer, whether it's something to teach that's good or beautiful visuals or you walk away learning something or a good feeling or great acting, that's where I have a wide range and a wide plethora of films that I love. And this is one of those that I'm excited to watch. Haven't seen it yet. But Martin Scorsese with Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Winona Ryder, I don't think you can go wrong. I mean, that cast alone with the director, I mean, come on. This film's going to be great, I'm guessing. So let me know if you've seen this, though, because I haven't seen this one yet. Now, this one did get a brand new 4K digital restoration and transfer. So again, I'm sure it's going to look beautiful. Next up is another one I picked up during the sale. This is called The Inlaws, Arthur Hiller. And this one actually has one of my favorite actors from a favorite TV show of mine, Columbo. This actually has Peter Falk in it. And I love Peter Falk. He's one of those quirky, just, man, he would never have made it as an actor nowadays. And that's what I think's sad. He's such a great actor and has such a quirky like face and the way he acts. In a lot of his movies, he has a similar feel to him as in Columbo. This one, he very much has that feel of how he acted in Columbo, but even a little bit more zany. So this one I was excited to pick up on the Criterion Collection because it was one of those that I didn't realize they had done. The film came out in 1979, and it's one of those like spy comedy action adventures that basically they're the two dads, their kids are getting married, they meet each other, and basically Peter Falk is a spy that then gets the other dad involved in this whole spy comedy thriller, and it becomes so zany and so many things happen. It's a really, really funny, enjoyable Peter Falk film. And if you really like Columbo and you like him in Columbo, you're going to really love The In-Laws. It's definitely one I suggest picking up, especially during the sale. This one was $19.99. All right, I picked up Robinson Crusoe on Mars during the sale. This was a blind buy. I had never seen this film in my life. This one came out in 1964. And the cover of it, I kind of just didn't ever give it a chance. And I don't know if you're like that you see covers of films and you kind of pass by them and you kind of say, I have other movies I want to buy. This was one of those that I kind of passed it up several times. And this time during the sale, I decided I'm going to pick it up, blind buy it. I don't want to read any reviews on it. I want to watch it with an open mind and see what I think about it. I enjoyed this film immensely. And I will tell you this, the cover doesn't really do it justice at all. It is a classic 1960s sci-fi movie. Basically, there's a crew of two men with a monkey that are basically going to scan Mars. And they're flying their ship around Mars, doing scans of it, and then they're going to head back to Earth. During that time, their ship has a malfunction because of an asteroid and so on. So they end up ejecting and crash landing on Mars. And things happen. So only one of the crew basically survives. And that's in the first few minutes of the film. So I didn't blow it for you there. I'm not giving away big spoilers. And one of the crew has to learn to survive on Mars with limited to no oxygen and food. There's no food. And it's a really great survival story. It does take a little while to get into. So if you've watched like 1960s sci-fi movies, yeah, the special effects and yeah, the ship doesn't look futuristic. But that adds to the charm of it. And that's where I feel like these classic sci-fi movies can really be something beautiful if you'll give them the chance. And a lot of people nowadays, especially a lot of young people, I feel like they're losing the essence of some of these great films that, like I talked about, where Carrie Grant or any of these other actors for other films, especially the actor in this, Paul Manti, I hadn't seen him in anything else before. He looked familiar, but maybe as like a bit actor in other films. But this was the first time I really had seen him as he was carrying the role all on his own. And he did a great job. And he carries this film. And you really feel for him with the things that start happening. It does take a little while to build on you, but once it does, you can't stop watching. And when the film ends, I kind of wanted to see more. And not kind of, I really did. I wanted to see what was going to happen to him and what was going to happen to his story. And just basically the world that they built, it's really enjoyable. And it's one of those sci-fi films that, like I said, I feel like a lot of generation now, if it's not big special effects, it doesn't look super modern or it doesn't look basically like it's super realistic. They don't give it a chance. This is one of those films that it was carried by the acting in it, and the practical effects they used in it looked really good, I think. The sets they used looked really good. They used matte paintings, which then they put over it, basically the actor, and it looked like it was really there. And it's a great classic sci-fi film. If you haven't picked this one up, it is one I recommend picking up and adding to your collection, because on a blind buy, I really enjoyed the film and thought it was one that surprised me because I hadn't ever seen it before, and that's really rare for me, especially for sci-fi films. Now, this one got a brand new, restored in high definition, digital transfer with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. And it is worth it. It's a good film, but go into it knowing it's a 1964 special effects movie, not with a big budget that we have nowadays where it's hundreds of millions of dollars that go into it. This was made in 1964 on a smaller budget, but it was still considered a big release for the time. And it's a very well done sci-fi film that's carried by the main actor that's in it. And if you sit down and give it a chance, you'll find a film with a heart and soul that you really end up realizing that, what if you were in that? And you kind of got to put yourself in his shoes and say, how would it be surviving all by yourself that long? What would you do? And that's where I feel like it did such a good job with a survival movie. Highly recommend this one. As a blind buy, I'd pick up this one during the sale. All right, the last one that I picked up during the sale, I don't have in my hands to show you. It's because it got sent back because it was completely crushed. And I'm getting another copy sent to me, but I will show you above. It's called Jubal, and it's a Western film. I have not seen that Western yet, but I'm excited to watch it. It surprisingly was on sale during the sale. I got it for $14.99. So that's on sale for $14.99. I'll put it in the description section below. It's another one I suggest picking up because it's a Criterion Collection release. And it's one of those special ones they're kind of doing an extra sale on it. And it's only $14.99. And it looks pretty darn good. It's a Western, kind of like, I don't know if I'd call it revenge, but basically a guy gets hired on at the ranch is the story. And he comes to work for this big ranch owner. And the ranch's wife is basically, I don't know if I want to call her slightly abused, but things are happening, and then basically the ranch hand has to decide if he's going to step up and defend innocent and things like that, and that's kind of what the story says. So it looks good. Haven't seen it yet, but that one is coming, so I will be watching that one, but that's another one I picked up during the sale. So that is one of them that is $14.99 though, so I thought for $14.99 for a Criterion Collection release, I'll pick it up for $14.99 because that's not a bad price. So this is part 2 of my Criterion Collection haul, sale, and what I currently have. So this is kind of an all-encompassing haul and sale. If you watch both part 1, which was released earlier, and this part 2 that we're just finishing here, you'll have seen all of my Criterion collection that I currently have and everything I got during the sale. So make sure if you're new to the channel and you're just watching part 2, go back and watch part 1. I will have that link on my channel as well, and you can go back and watch part 1 so you can kind of see everything I have in my Criterion collection so far. And let me know in the comment section below what of these 2 Criterion videos that are in my collection that you're excited to pick up, what you already own, what you're excited to watch, and maybe what you didn't know about. Start that conversation down in the comment section below. I always love to hear from all of you, so make sure to start the conversation down there, get the conversation going. And as always, I will have all of the links for everything I talked about in the description section right below this video. You click that description section, it'll open up all the sale links that are listed out below. That way you can go out and any of these that you want, you can get during the sale just like I did and get them at a great price right now. I mean, you can't really beat the price of these Criterion releases. The Criterion releases are always so darned expensive. It's great when they're on sale, just like now, and they'll all be listed below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up for me, give this video a like, click that subscribe button and the bell notification for me. And as always, I hope all of you have a blessed day, and I look forward to the time we get to do this again real soon.